Hello, kids. I'm Jack Trash,
And I'm Chris McLernan.
and this is Plus One, a rock and roll podcast. This is our first one of 2026.
Yep, it is.
We
Welcome
have,
back.
yeah, we have made a New Year's resolution that we're going to be a little more consistent on this year.
Yeah, well, 2025 got a little out of hand.
Yes, it.
Circumstances allow.
Yes, exactly. So as far as we're concerned, and the fates have not jumped in, we're going to be more consistent with this.
Yes, yes, we are.
Today we have a great plus one.
I'll say we do.
Yeah. Whew. Rod Morgenstein from you know him from Winger or the Dixie Dregs or many other bands. Drummer extraordinaire.
Yeah, musician extraordinaire too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, we get into everything to how to pronounce his name,
That's right.
which was, I thought was kind of important
Sure.
to
And he offers some enlightenment on how to pronounce his name, but not the right one if you're in Germany.
right. Yeah, it's very educational. The funny part is, and you'll see it right at the beginning of this, is Chris was a couple of minutes late getting to it, and I kind of informed him who you were, and he's like, Saigon Kick, Phil Verone playing that band. And he had just been looking at pictures of him and Phil Verone the night before.
Yep. So, and that's usually the reaction we get.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Phil Rhodes in that band.
Yeah.
But yes, I had no idea what to expect with Rod. I'd seen him play, so I knew he was clearly a confident musician.
Oh, yeah.
But good Lord, was he entertaining and charming and smart and funny and well-versed in practically fucking everything.
Everything. Everything. So,
and let's not forget the great Steve Morse stories.
oh, yeah.
And we didn't get all of them.
I feel we've only scratched the surface of the Steve Moore stories.
Yeah. And Rod's got one of the people that has the gift of storytelling too.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. All right, with no further ado, here we go. Here's our conversation with Rod Morgenstein. Where are you?
I am in Long Island, New York.
Okay.
About 40, 50 miles from Manhattan.
Gotcha. My partner on the podcast is Chris McLernan. He's the bass player for Saigon Kick and also Cold Sweat. He's dealing something with his dad's wants to change his will or something like that. So he's said, I'm going to be at the lawyer, but I'm going to try to get in as soon as I can. So I said, it's all right. We'll start without you. You can just jump in when you can.
Yeah. Okay. I have just a question. Was Phil Verone the drummer from Saigon?
Yes.
And so, okay. So I was just going through like hundreds and hundreds of photographs. I'm trying to organize things in my house.
Sure.
And I came across a couple of photographs of me and Phil playing drums. It was with Ace Frehley. He's not in the photo, but there was this monstrous guitar expo down in St. Pete, Florida,
Right.
about 25 years ago. And at the end of the day, where all these guitarists are doing their little, presentations, they have a blowout concert, or they used to. And so for that year, I was like the house drummer playing with everybody. And then hey, Chris,
Hey, how are you?
but Phil Verone was also part of the
Shindig.
night big celebrity concert with Ace Frehley. And so I just was looking at Phil Verone last night. I have a couple of photos. Did you hear the story that I just told, Chris?
I heard the second half.
Yeah. So okay. So your partner said, yeah, and so Chris will hopefully join us. And he played Saigon Kick. I went, Saigon Kick. When did I last think about Phil Verone? Last night, because I'm going through hundreds of photos trying to organize things, and there's this photo of me and Phil drumming together. It was for Ace Frehley.
He would be wildly flattered. I'll pass that on.
Please do. Please tell him hi for me. We had a lot of fun.
So how was that? Did you actually get up and play with Ace?
Yeah.
What did you play? Do you remember?
I had
like
a
a Kiss
bunch
song
of,
or an old rock classic.
I had to learn a bunch of Kiss songs, but you ready for this? Oh my God. I wish there was time for me to tell you like the full story, but before I did the concert that night, I had to rehearse with each of the guitarists, right? Like jazz guitarist Mike Stern, Steve Morse, Vinnie Moore, Andy Timmons,
Oh,
like
wow.
right. And so the only place for everybody to get away from all their fans is in like this dressing room area. It's pretty big, but in one of the corners, they had a little drum set for me and a couple of amps, for the guitars and the bass and a keyboard. And so we would quietly rehearse throughout the day for like a half hour or 40 minutes. Okay. I never met Ace, right? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, and it's Florida, it's 90 degrees and humid.
Of course.
Okay. And he's a pretty big guy, right?
He
So
is, yeah.
he comes in, he talks very loud in the Brooklyn accent, right? So, and he was holding a powder puff because he had, like his skin's a little, like acne-ish or whatever, and a woman's powder puff, and he's applying the stuff to his face. And then he said, this is before we even played or rehearsed. He said, "Where's the girl who's selling my picks? They're $3 a piece. I gave her 100 picks. I better be getting my $300, and I better get my $500 for being here." Okay, so now you're not gonna believe this.
Nothing like having your eye on the big picture, Ace.
Now it's time to rehearse. I've already rehearsed with all these other astounding guitarists, right?
Yeah.
One, more impressive than the next. So the first song Ace wants to rehearse is Cold Gin.
Sure.
That's one of the songs I wrote. Here he goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So he sings the verse, the chorus, and then someone made a mistake. So we stopped and said, okay, so let's take it from the second verse. And Ace got all nervous and goes, no, from the top. He didn't know how to rehearse a song from anywhere but the beginning.
Wow.
Yeah, you could be 4 minutes into it. We got to work something out. He's like, from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow.
Now we know why Kiss songs are short.
Yeah, no kidding. I had heard a similar story about Black Sabbath where when Ronnie was their singer, they were going over something and they stopped. And Ronnie said very similar, let's take from the beginning of the second verse. And Bill, Geese, and Tony all looked at each other like, what? And Tony calculated for a second and said, oh, from 112. So they're like counting each bar
Wow.
like it's classical
Really?
score.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny because Ronnie went to Juilliard, so it's not like he was completely confused by that approach.
I have an older sister. She's 4 years older than I am. And so when she was in college, upstate New York at Cortland.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh, you've heard of it. I went to visit her, right? So I'm Carol's little brother, Rod. I was, I don't know, 16, 17 years old. And one of the nights she said, "Hey, I'm taking you to the such and such dorm because a band called the Elves are playing. They're a local, sensation." And so I went to see, I didn't, nobody knew who Ronnie James Dio was yet. This was like 1969 or something. He was dressing up like, like swinging a purse, wearing makeup. It was Ronnie James Dio
Wow.
prior.
To have photos from that night.
I wish.
Yeah, I was managed by Wendy for a while, so we toured with Ronnie, and I got a lot of stories from those days. I was just fascinated that he'd been back all that time, like you said, 69. That's a long time. He said, "Oh, mate, we labored for years."
Yeah.
Crazy.
Paid his dues.
I met him once at a NAMM show. He was so lovely.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he could go full Italian on if you made him mad, but he was a fantastic mentor. He always pulled me aside and go, Chris, come here, and he just tell me, we buy a bottle of the Greyhound, and we'd sit at the bar, and I took it all in. Every bit was useful.
Yeah,
I'm sure. He was one of the few vocalists that still had the range at his age.
Yeah.
You know?
And the power.
Yeah. Right.
Amazing. It's totally amazing. He had his foundation, his Children of the Night Foundation, for runaway kids. And we did an on-air auction, and everybody just donated stuff. And we had hundreds of thousands of dollars on KNAC on a weekend doing this on-air auction thing. And he was there the whole time, just making sure that everything was good. And he was such a nice man.
Yeah, he really was.
You know, when you're a musician, Chris, you could attest to it. Word travels.
Oh boy, does it!
Right. So we all know who the good guys are, and we all know who the not so good guys are.
Right.
Everybody.
Oh yeah, as I like to say, the good ones know the other good ones.
Very, very true. All right, so we've been doing this for a minute here. First thing that I want to ask, because I've heard it like 4 or 5 different ways. Would you please how do you pronounce your last name?
Morgenstein.
Morgenstein. Okay.
I know it looks like Stein.
Right. Yeah. If you go by the European pronunciation, that last vowel should go before the last consonant.
Yeah. In like a German would say Morgenstein. And can I just tell you the funniest story that has to do with my name? So in 1986, when the Steve Morse Band played the last shows of what was going to be my time in the Steve Morse Band, because I met Winger a year or two later.
Sure.
We had done 3 months with Rush on their Power Windows tour, and I needed to find a gig. And to make a long story short, I ended up auditioning for and getting a gig with a German band from Hanover, Germany called Zeno, Zeno. The guitarist, Joe Roth, was the younger brother of Uli Roth.
Wow.
And now, me coming from the rock jazz fusion world, I didn't know from the Scorpions or Uli Roth or anything. I was a snobby jazz fusion musician, not listening to rock at the time. But I got the gig. Uli Roth was in New York with the band auditioning drummers. And I didn't know who he was. And he's going, "Are you totally mad? You crazy?" So I got the gig, and the next thing I know, I'm living in Hanover, Germany, rehearsing with Zeno. But a couple of days into getting to know them, I don't know how the conversation came up, but I said, my dad recently asked me if I was thinking of changing my name, right?
Okay.
Because I was starting to get some recognition in the drumming world.
Sure.
So my dad was asking me that question, and these 3 German, the principal members of the band, they look at each other and they're talking in German, and they turn to me and they go, "What is wrong with Rod?" Because
Spinal Tap.
Totally. Because in Germany, like there'd be no question, like a name like Morgenstein, like Rammstein,
Right.
Yeah, Frankenstein.
They didn't think that was the part of my name that was being considered. Because, like in our country, if you have an ethnic sounding name, you invariably change it.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That's great. That's crazy.
Wow. Speaking of the Steve Morse Band, that's where I get to nerd out. I saw you in a club in Madison, Wisconsin, I think spring of '85 before I moved to LA.
Wow.
You, Jerry, and Steve.
Yeah. Oh, Jerry Peak. Wow. What a wonderful bass player.
It was, yeah, I was watching that just going, okay, maybe I'm more of a bass owner.
Yeah.
And at one point you jumped off the drums and you played either piano or keys or
Oh yeah, on one song.
Yes.
On one song.
Which fascinated me because at that point I was like, no, everyone plays just the instrument they're assigned.
Right.
Yeah, but now I don't know what the youth of the world are drinking, because it's like, so what do you do? Oh, I'm a songwriter, I'm an engineer, I'm a producer, I'm a mixer. I play the drums and keyboards and bass and guitar, and I sing. Right?
All at once.
Everything. You used to be able to just play guitar, and that's what you do.
Right.
No kidding.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So the new project that you have right now, Voices of Extreme. I'm going to tell you right now, we were listening to it this morning. My fiance has been walking out in the house going, "Stone Babies." So it's got a hook.
That's so nice to hear. You know, I'm from Long Island, but I didn't live here, from when I left for college in my third year at University of Miami. Then that's where I met what became the Dixie Dregs. And then I lived in Augusta, Georgia, then Atlanta, Georgia for like 11 years. But I came back in the mid 80s. And so I wasn't really aware at all of like the Long Island music scene. And since I've been more of a band member of bands that do a lot of traveling, not playing locally, I don't know who like the cool musicians on
Right.
are, right? And so I met Don Chafin, the singer and guitarist of Voices of Extreme, it was I think a year before COVID. Me and Billy Sheehan, the bassist, were brought in to be part of a project for this 4-year-old child who was run down in his front yard when someone who was texting just went off the curb, ran him, killed him, didn't even know, killed him. And the father of this child found that about a year later, the thing that was helping him keep his sanity was writing music. Very talented guitarist. He goes by the name Joey Jam. His name is Joe Cangemi. And so he contacted me. He said, "I've written a bunch of music and I'm trying to do it to honor my son." Right. And I'm going to call Billy Sheehan, and the singer will be a local musician, Don Chafin, who has a great recording studio, and he's going to do the vocals. Will you be part of it? I said, "Of course." So that's where I met Don.
Right.
And so that project was called the Road Crew RC for Rocco Cangemi, the little boy.
Cool.
Killed. And then maybe a year or two ago, Don Chafin called me and said, "Hey, Rod, would you like to be part of this other project that I'm doing called Voices of Extreme?" And so that's how I got involved. Don, apparently is a Dregs fan and Winger fan.
Right.
And so he's always so happy when I see him, which makes me feel good. It's like, why are you so happy? He goes, "Dude, like you're in the Dixie Dregs and Winger." Okay, great.
Right.
He's he's as sweet as they come. As is Paul Ranieri, the bass player, who's like a Jocko fretless bassist.
Ooh.
And that's part of I think what makes Voices of Extreme special, that you have this jazz fusion rocker playing a fretless bass to this kind of rock music.
Right. Wow. Wow. Did you also tell me you were in Winger and Dixie Dregs? You said also Zeno. I was in Zeno.
I was in Zeno, but I was also, I have for years have a power duo with Jordan Rudess, Dream Theater's keyboardist.
Right.
Oh, right. Yes.
The Rudess Morgenstein project. And then the most challenging thing I've ever done is a band called Jazz Is Dead, where we jam on the music of the Grateful Dead. We haven't done it in some years, but I replaced Billy Cobham, my idol, in that band. And then 5 feet away from me was bassist Alfonso Johnson from Weather Report.
Yeah.
He was the bassist. It's an amazing feeling to grow up where you go to concerts to see your favorite musicians and bands, and then one day you're sharing the stage with them. It's at first terrifying, and then it becomes very exciting and gratifying. But the only other the one other project band that I have that I want to mention, since I'm mentioning all these other groups, is the Jelly Jam, which is a power trio that I have with Ty Tabor from King's X
Sure,
Yes.
Ty.
and John Mayung, the bassist from Dream Theater. So we have 5 albums, 4 or 5
Yeah.
albums
Wow.
we've done, and it's like musician power pop rock. Really, really interesting music. I wish more people knew about it.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of those records. They are really good because
Yeah,
I
thanks.
was a because I was a I'm a big King's X fan and as well as the Winger fan, and so
Yeah,
I could check this out. I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound like either of them, but it's really good.
yeah, yeah.
It's the idea,
To me,
though.
to me, like it's closest to the King's X sound
Yes,
than anything.
right.
Right. So Rod, how do you turn your brain off and go from like Ace Frehley Cold Gin to like Cruise Control by the Dregs?
Yeah.
Where
Well,
do those rooms reside in that head?
you know, the part of my career that I'm the most proud of is the fact that I've gotten to, live in so many different worlds.
Sure.
From the Dregs, which like is instrumental rock jazz fusion, where you got a
Country. Don't
little
forget
bit
the
of
country.
country, high energy country, and a little bit of classical English folk music, and then rock and blah blah blah, and then transitioning into Winger, which is whatever you want to call it, just more of a straight ahead rock kind of thing. But Winger secretly always snuck in prog elements,
Yes, I agree.
for the musician audience.
Showing off.
Jazz is Dead was total jam band. Make it up as you go along, like dig down deep and discover what you're made of. Fall on your face. The audience is very forgiving. They just don't want you to do the same thing twice.
Sure, yeah.
And then the Jelly Jam with Ty and John Mayall is more of like musician vocal music that kind of stretches the limits a bit. And then the Rudis Morgenstein thing, everything I do with Jordan is like insane instrumental, prog.
Right.
Like, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 but the
Totally
thing is,
picture it.
but at the end of the day, you have to be smart about the ability or abilities that you have and bring the specific elements that work in each of those styles while also throwing in a little bit of you
Right.
right. So if someone's pumping dum, 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 you're not going to go you want to start from that basic framework of what works. And I love hitting hard and playing simple as much as I love playing over the bar line and playing odd note groupings and playing in crazy time signatures and doing that stuff. I don't like listening to crazy music anymore. I prefer, Joni Mitchell, like beautiful singer songwriter, intelligent chord changes, beautiful voice. I don't want to hear do that. I like to play it, but not listen to it.
Right.
I think one of the most underrated things out of the 80s and 90s rock was how good the players are in the band Winger.
Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous how good all of you are actually. It's
serious pedigrees all across the board.
I mean, Red Beach and Paul Taylor, and it's kind of sad that people don't kind of get that.
No, right. You say Winger to the majority of people that are, say, not Winger fans.
Right.
And immediately they're going to go, oh, she's only 17, which is a silly lyric, but we've never heard one band that's done it as a cover song played. Nobody. So imagine this. So you're Kip Winger singing these lyrics that, it sold us nearly 2 million albums, but it also helped destroy the band
Sure.
when
Sure.
suddenly it was politically incorrect to say she's only 17, right? Even though the Beatles said she was only 16, and Ringo said, "You're 16, you're beautiful, and you're blah, blah, blah,
In
blah."
your mind. Yeah.
But imagine, here's this riff. Do, 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 do. No, I don't mean that. The verse. Do, 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 do,
Yeah.
and you have this guy going, yeah, go home, we can talk it over. Ooh. So you're singing counterpoint
Yeah.
to this riff. It's not easy, but to some people, they don't want to go beyond, it's such a stupid lyric.
Yeah.
I guess Kip's problem was he's too good looking.
It didn't help in the end. In the beginning, it put him on the cover of every
Oh
magazine.
yeah.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that's what the record label pushed more than anything. It was Kip always, behind the scene going, we're a band. Like
Right.
I'm watching this first cut of the video for whatever song. It's like we may as well be watching a George Michael video, you know.
Sure.
It has nobody. I want to see the band in there. Like they're a big part of what's going on. And so they'd send another cut, like, oh, I think I saw my drum set. But it would be relentless until like the band was represented. So it was a plus and a minus, him
Sure.
being good looking. The thing is, and with all the trashing of him on Beavis and Butthead, and Kip becoming the poster child of all the stuff to make fun of with the hair bands, um, he's having the last laugh because
Sure is.
I just in May sat in Nashville Symphony Hall listening to the Kip Winger violin concerto performed by the Nashville Symphony, and the concertmaster playing violin, I think he's from like the Chicago Symphony. And then some years before that, Lincoln Center, New York, the San Francisco Ballet Company dancing to his piece Ghosts.
Right.
You know,
Nice.
his classical music is played all over the world. He was guest of honor for his piece called Conversations with Nijinsky in Berlin. Nijinsky was the choreographer of The Rite of Spring, that very controversial classical work by
Stravinsky.
yes, Stravinsky. And the conductor called Kip when we were in Japan 3 years ago and said, Kip, can you be the guest of honor in Berlin? We're doing 2 evenings. It's the 100-year anniversary of The Rite of Spring, and I'm playing your piece, Conversations of Nijinsky and The Rite of Spring. Like this is the world he's in now.
Right. Yeah.
Guy that so many people make fun of as a talentless hack because, hey, in the video I saw his hand leave the bass and there's still a bass. And it's like, don't you know that we're lip syncing?
Right.
Showbiz.
Exactly. Exactly.
Terrible.
And
Yeah.
I just saw. I
What,
just.
has he got 2 or 3 Grammys?
I'm not sure, but I know like his classical album was up for best
Yes.
record. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and I just saw
love it.
today that he's got a new one coming out. He just released a new one today, I think.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, another classical one today.
He's unbelievable. He has so much talent. It's insane. And every band, not every band, but a lot of bands, they have that guy who is the hands-on person, like knows how to twist all the knobs for engineering and
Right.
production, and writes most of the music, and then in the live show rehearses the band, and he he likes to take part in every aspect of everything, as does Don Chafin with Voices of Extreme. He's always had his own recording studio, and he's always on top of the latest and greatest technology and the new gear. And so he too, writes music, has this amazing voice. He's a great guitarist, but he's also the, engineer, producer, on and on and on. I'm so taken with people that have, those multiple talents. I
Right.
never jumped into technology, and so you know, I'm lucky that I'm looking at you guys and doing this podcast. I was able to click on enough things to get here. I really regret it. You know, you can't live in this world if you want to be in the public's eye. You
Sure.
know,
True.
Yeah. Yeah. So for Voices of Extreme, let's where can people see it? Where can people hear it? Where can they get it?
I should know the answer to that question. And I,
Well, we can always tack it on later.
and I don't. You know, we're hoping that the recording will come out sometime later this year. We still, have three songs. I mean, I have to cut drum tracks to three more songs. Uh, there's already another video in the can for one of the songs, and February, when I'll be cutting the three tracks, we're also going to shoot another video.
Okay.
So sometime later this year, like all I can suggest to someone who's interested is to Google Voices of Extreme, and then write rock band, and
Right.
it'll take you to the appropriate place where you can read about the band and see what latest news.
And if you watch the video on the YouTubes, you too can be like Karen and walk around the house going Stone Babies.
It's such a cool video. And again, it's Don who loves shooting videos. So like I watched him throughout the day. He's the guy that's talking to the video camera operators and he's dealing with the lighting of each scene and it's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, but when we did videos, I was definitely more the Norma Desmond. Just Mr. DeMille, give me my close up. Let me get out of here.
That's me. And recording studios, they're so tedious,
Oh.
So like, okay, it's time to cut drum tracks. Okay, drummer, snare. I hear a little ring. Bring Rod some duct tape. Okay, put a little right, and then you got to go through every drum, and then the overheads, and then and
the rooms and the toms. It's just like we're gonna play a song, right?
Yeah.
Right. So maybe that first day you cut a track.
Maybe.
Sometimes okay, so like you cut the song and then, in the control room, they go, oh, we're having a problem here. Take a coffee break. You spend most of the time not playing your instrument.
Right.
They're troubleshooting stuff, and for whatever reason, from the very first time I was in a major recording studio doing the Dixie Dregs' first album, Free Fall, in not Burbank. Yeah, maybe it was Burbank, California. I had no interest walking into the control room and watching these engineers and producers twisting the knobs. It's like, I just don't want to be here. I want to be anywhere but here. So can I cut my drum tracks and go to Disneyland?
Yep.
But Steve Morse,
thankfully, is that guy.
Right.
For every second because he took an interest in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's good. You've always seemed to find that guy to help you through.
Ty Tabor with the Jelly Jam, he's the guy that does everything.
Right. That's great.
With stuff I do with Jordan Rudess, that needs other people to be taking care of stuff. Can I tell you guys like this hilarious story?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So in 1994, the Dixie Dregs were on tour and our keyboard player was having some issues, some problems, and we needed to find a replacement really fast. And long story short, we found Jordan Rudess, who was basically an unknown keyboardist other than being a sensation at NAMM trade shows.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you got to go see that keyboard demo guy.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Korg or Kurzweil or whatever. So Jordan Rudess came to Steve Morse's place in Florida. We rehearsed for one day for like 3-4 hours. And the next day he played his first gig with us. Now, since he has perfect pitch, he he just sort of scored all the music out for him. And he would, like in the rehearsal, he'd go, okay, was I also supposed to play the bass line? And we're like, no, no, that's that kind of stuff. So,
Wow.
so the very first show that we played the next day in Fort Lauderdale, in the middle of the show, the power went out for the guitar, bass, and electric violin. Jordan's keyboard went directly into the PA and the drums were just mic'd up. So I look at this guy who I had just met the day before, and instead of stopping while the crew is frantically trying to get everything up, we just started jamming for like 5, 6, 7 minutes until everything was working again and we went up. But what happened in those few minutes was magic. And that's what got us talking immediately. We have to do something together as like a mighty power duo. And then the Rudis Morgenstein project was born. And then a little after that, Jordan got asked to join Dream Theater, and now he's the most famous keyboardist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve Morse can do virtually anything in the world. Okay, so when I met him in college, he was taking flying lessons, and even me, him, and Andy, the bass player, rented a single engine 4-seater Cessna so we could go snorkeling in Bimini, in the Bahamas. Well, like if my parents knew I was getting in an airplane, with a 19-year-old guy, they would have freaked out. But so anyway,
Love it.
so Steve, went on to like take the airline mechanics exam and score the highest grade in the history of the exam. He flies every day. He has taken aerobatic lessons with guys from the Blue Angels. Um, he's a farmer. He lives on a bunch of land. He mows his 50 acres with a tractor pulling a bush hog. He'll take the tractor apart into every nut and bolt, and have it all laid out in one of his barns and put it back together. He's got bulldozers. Um, there's nothing he can't do, right? He knows how the world works.
Wow.
So, okay, so here we are, the first day with Jordan Rudis, and I'm eating some food with Jordan and Steve. And Jordan says, "Oh man, when I get home, I have to call a tree surgeon." And Steve said, "Why do you have to call a tree surgeon?" He goes, well, we have this huge tree and this giant limb that's overhanging the house, and if it comes down, it'll take down a chunk of the house." And Steve said, how high up is the limb? And Jordan goes, "I don't know, 40 feet." So Steve goes, "Well, of course you own a chainsaw, right?" And Jordan's like, "Uh, No, I don't own a chainsaw." So Steve, okay, so here's the deal. You got to get a chainsaw. This is the brand that I suggest. Now, are you left-handed or right-handed? And Jordan's like, "I'm left-handed." You go, "Okay, so now you're going to put the chainsaw on your right shoulder, and then with your left, first you have to build a ladder to get up the 40 feet. So you want to pick up these specific kind of whatever you call them and hammer them into the tree. Now, you don't just go up there with the chainsaw and hack off the limb because it'll go right down to house. You have to create this whole pulley system with ropes, and he goes into the science of how to take down a tree limb that's 40 feet in the air. So
That he's never seen.
yeah. Now this is, we just met Jordan the day before. So 3 months later, I'm driving up to Jordan's house, right? He lives above New York City. So he's like 2 hours from me because we're going to work together writing music and bringing some of our own music and do our first Rudis Morgenstein project album. So one day I get to his house and there's a framed poster leaning against the wall. And it was a musician who was semi-famous at the time. And at the bottom, it said music composed by Jordan Rudis. And so I said, "Wow, Jordan, you wrote the music for this guy's magic show?" And he went, "Yeah, he was nice enough. He just, sent me this framed photograph of the poster. I have to call a contractor." And I said, "Why do you have to call a contractor?" He said, "To hang the poster." I said, "Do you have a hammer and a nail?" He goes, "You can hang a
Wow.
hammer and a nail. Now, I'm one step above that, but that's all I like. If I have a leak, I have to call a plumber, But like I said, Jordan, get me a nail and he said, don't you need one of those picture hanger thingamajigs? I went, yeah, in a perfect world, but you don't. Let me see the back. Yeah, it's just it's a wire. So he gets a hammer and a nail. It took a while to find it, right? He doesn't ever pick up a hammer. His fingers, are
Sure.
so I said, where do you want it? He goes, like about here. And I went, okay. Bang, bang, bang. There it is. And he like his breath was caught. And he couldn't believe that I knew how to hang a picture. And so I immediately thought back to the conversation with Steve going, chainsaw, ropes and pulleys, climb up, like a monkey with this stuff on your back. And now you're going to set up all the rope and then
Wow.
chainsaw the limb off. Right. So
that explains so many things now about Steve Morse.
Two genius musicians, but with Steve, music is maybe 25% of who he is.
Really? Wow.
Guitar and writing. Yeah. That's just the music part of his life. Like he'll bale hay and trade it with local farmers for something that they have that he could use.
Wow.
Then he does all the work on his airplanes and takes it up. That's his therapy. Or maybe he'll take his aerobatic plane up and then just stall the plane, at 10,000 feet and then comes careening down to earth where it's like the G-force is, and he explained to me it's the greatest thrill where you see the black closing in.
Oh boy.
He said, like I'm trained with this stuff. I'm not like a daredevil that doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
I'm in complete control. At this point, when you're just about to black out, you have to pull on the stick with that particular plane to get it out. He and a friend of his years ago, this is pre 9/11, they bought a Spanish fighter jet from the Spanish Air Force. It was shipped over in crates.
Well, we warned you. It's entertaining.
It is. Where else are you going to hear stories about Kiplinger and getting a tree branch off of your house?
Yes.
Which shoulder you should have the chainsaw on?
Right. Yes. Yeah. All of that stuff I did not know.
I didn't either.
I think if I have any DIY projects, I'm going to get a hold of Rod to get a hold of Steve Moore so I can do them correctly.
Yep. Shit. If I have a DUI, I'm getting a hold of Steve.
Exactly. So it's great stuff from him. Again, his new band is called Voices of Extreme. And the single is actually, there's a couple singles out. You can see it on the YouTubes, and if you like to purchase music, that's a good thing.
Yep. And be careful because, like some other people, you will be walking around the house singing it.
Yes, exactly. Yes, Karen was all over that song. All she had to do was hear it once.
That's the best.
That is a good thing. Speaking of, before we let this go, there's a band that's going out on tour, at least for a couple of shows in the springtime. I think we should talk about it a little bit. This band called Saigon Kick.
Yeah, we are.
So you're joining the boys, and we got just the two right now. Just the two shows that are
two right now. Yes,
two right now in luckily in my neck of the woods.
I was gonna say, yeah, we can do it maybe we do a podcast in the same spot.
I would think we should. We could probably do a whole +1 with a plus band.
Drag them along.
Exactly. So the shows are in they're in April, right?
Yes. First one was in Boca. Second one was in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater.
Yes. Right. So if you
Funky Biscuit in Boca and the Capitol, is it right?
The Capitol Theater with an O.
Yes.
Yes, not the Capitol Theater. It's the Capitol Theater.
Yes. So we will, and we'll be playing songs from the entire catalog with Jeff Soto and Jason Beeler handling duties on vocals, and I'll come in every now and then and yell. Right. So will Steve. So it's me, Steve, Phil, Jeff, and Jason.
Nice. Very nice.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of these songs have not been played in a long time.
Very, very, very cool. I'm looking forward to it. If you want to come to the show, especially in the Tampa area, which is actually in Clearwater, um, it's a cool little area, and it's right next to the main hub of the Scientology people.
Oh,
so you never know who might actually show up at the show. Maybe Tom Cruise will be there.
oh boy.
It's an interesting little area down there.
Wow. Right back to Scientology. I moved out to LA in '85, and I was right across from the Scientology daycare center.
Oh, nice.
So I guess if you're tagged, you're tagged.
Right. They're following you all over the place.
Yeah. Speaking of 1985, I will let out the cat out of the bag here. My book about moving to Los Angeles in 1985 is at the editors. So
nice.
My hope is two things for the shows, the Saigon shows. One is the book, at least some pre-sale, be available.
Right.
But also at the merch table in both cities, I'm working with the Michael J. Fox Foundation to have a QR code at the merch table so you can scan it and donate to the Parkinson's Foundation of your choice. There will be the Michael J. Fox, but there will also be the Parkinson's Foundation. So up to you, no pressure. That's why it's just QR code.
Right.
So just anything can help. Believe
right,
it or not.
For sure.
So, but that will be there. And then at some point, the hope is, because the Fox people are just unbelievable. They're just so positive and up and friendly and and they're all excited about this. So my hope is at some point I have a shirt with maybe the Fox thing on the shoulder or something.
Right.
But one thing at a time.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's awesome.
Just trying to think out of the box, Jack.
Yeah, that's good. Fantastic. I love it. All right. Well, until next time, when we're going to have a guest who's a little crabby, but that's okay. We're gonna we'll get through it, I think.
Yeah, well, yeah. We will.
Yeah.
He's a pro.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Jack Trash.
I'm Chris McLernan.
And this is Plus One, a rock and roll podcast, and live your life to 11.
And we'll see it. We'll call.